The powerful wartime story of a young boy and his horse comes to life this week at Shea's Performing Arts Center. WarHorse is setting the trend in theatrical magic with living, breathing, galloping horses that weigh nearly 120 pounds and stand 8 feet tall. They come to life with the thrilling work done by the National Theatre of Great Britain. Now we're sitting on the couch with a cast member, Caden Douglas. You play Captain Stewart in the show. So let's sort of talk right away about the horses, because that's what everyone's talking about. So we said that they're living, breathing, galloping horses, but they're actually puppets. So how do these work?
There's 3 puppeteers who manipulate the horses, 3 actors inside, and we call them the heart, the hind, and the head. And the head puppeteer manipulates the head of the horse, and the heart makes the horse breathe and kind of shows the emotions of the horse, and the hind manipulates the back legs and the tail. So the 3 work together, they breathe together, they create the horse sounds, and collectively bring the soul of the horse to stage.
So, I saw the show opening night. You forget that these horses are puppets. So as an actor, what is it like interacting with these horses that seem so lifelike but are actually manned by people?
You know, it's funny, that's the question that people ask all the time when I think, like being in the audience, when you see the show, 5 minutes in, 30 seconds in, 2 minutes in, you kind of forget that they are inanimate objects, and you just believe that that it's a horse on stage. And the same thing happens to, I think, those of us who interact with the horses in the show. Is the work that the puppeteers do is so meticulous and so fantastic that it really doesn't take much work at all to walk on stage and believe that it's a horse.
Now, before you were Captain Stewart, you also worked one of the horses up in Toronto.
That's right.
What training goes into making these puppets come to life?
There's about 8 weeks of rehearsal for all of the productions of WarHorse, and the puppeteers train for a couple weeks before the rest of the cast come in. And you do a lot of learning. The Handspring Puppet Company created the puppets for the show, and they have a kind of a particular approach to puppeteering, and so you kind of study that and learn that. And then there's also the physical challenges. It's probably the hardest physical thing I've ever done in my life. It was the best workout I ever had. It was, 3 hours of cross training every day. It was really good. So it takes about 8 weeks to learn how to do it.
The puppets are one of the amazing aspects of the show, but having watched the show, every single aspect of the show is done just as well as the puppets. So for people out there that aren't familiar with the story of WarHorse, kind of set the scene for us.
So at the turn of the century, there's a young man named Albert Narracott who ends up getting a baby horse, and he befriends the horse, and they become best friends, and the horse grows up, and his dad sends the horse off to war. And in an effort to find him, he enlists in the First World War, and their paths diverge, and then they each have kind of trials and tribulations throughout the war, and I won't give away the ending.
And one of the things I love about theater is you get a first-hand experience of something that you might not have experienced prior. Now, we learn about the First World War in history books, but our generation, of course, has never experienced it. And I found myself almost learning a little bit about the human aspect. Do a lot of people walk away with a better understanding of this?
I think so, too. I think, we're a little bit removed from the First World War, generationally. And I think one of the great things about this show is I think it really touches people of every age. I think I've been on stage, and when the show finishes, I've seen 10-year-olds crying, cheering, being so engaged by it. But I've also seen, senior citizens and more mature folks who are also equally as moved. And I think that's part of what the show is. It's an anthem for peace, and it's a way to kind of open a dialogue with people about war and the history of war in our country.
And of course, it did really open that dialogue. As I walked out of the theater, everybody was talking, everyone was having great sort of educated conversations about what they just saw. Thank you so much, Caden, for coming in.
My pleasure.
There are still performances happening. How many more are left?
We got 5 left, 1 tonight, 2 Saturday, and 2 Sunday.
All right, well, it comes with winging its highest recommendation. Of course, thank you for coming in.